I think most teams are just picking for lane, and then it just happens to be like hard engage stuff. Because like you see, even with hard engage, people are still playing split pushes mid because it's just what's strong. So everyone is like picking to win their lane. Of course, it's always a risk to split push. You have to have a lot of communication, and newer teams might not have that. Like we didn't have it in the start either because we changed players, so the communication is like gone, and like the split push has to talk a lot. Like, okay, we need wards here and here so I can actually split, and you guys need to play back because I'm splitting.
Well, certainly not looking to split any wins today, SK Gaming.
Probably not.
Indeed, they're still 7-0 on this one.
I do like the point Svensson is making, though, about how in Europe everyone picks to win their lane. That's why we see Graves being like one of the most contested AD carries, despite it barely being picked in any other region. Here in Europe, it's all about winning that bottom lane, and that's why Graves is so strong.
Oh, yes, indeed. Now, we are about to look into this next matchup, ladies and gentlemen, between SK Gaming and, of course, Giants Gaming. Let's take a look at the starting lineups for both the teams. On the blue side is, of course, SK. That means Freddy122 will be your top laner, Sven Skaren in the jungle. The mid laner, Fox Forgiven, the AD carry, support and rated, and their coach, Innerflame.
Yeah, and we saw yesterday how SK had to change up their style a little bit because Copenhagen was got that 2-on-2 lane, and we saw Airwix try and camp and really shut down Forgiven early, so now suddenly it was about the solo laners really making some big plays, and they did. And despite Svensson actually saying on Twitter that he felt like that was his worst game he's ever played, or at least this split, I actually think his counter against on Rengar was fantastic. As soon as he got out of that early slump, he looked great.
Yeah, and he wasn't the only one who looked incredible. Fox, out of nowhere, picks the LeBlanc up, goes 10-0-3 on that.
Oh, yeah.
He was just blowing up people left and right. And now let's see who their opponents are going to be today. For Giants Gaming on the red side, we have in the top lane, it is Werlib. In the jungle, Frederick. The mid laner, Pepinero. AD carry, Audrey. Support, Rydal. And their coach, Lothar.
Yeah, and we have seen Giants now lose 5 games in a row. And obviously Jax has been banned in all 5 games. We keep talking about it. It is a problem for them. They don't seem to really have a playstyle figured out. We see them switch up the picks a little bit. Yesterday, it was very late game focused against Gambit, which actually meant they fell really far behind early to mid-game and didn't do anything. And while Gambit had trouble closing out the game, I think we can say, got to like 50 minutes, they were still far enough ahead to actually win it. So Giants really need to try and find a playstyle that works for them. And just, for me, it's going to be all about Pepinero in this mid lane. He's the guy who needs to really step up and carry the games because he's the guy who can snowball the mid lane. Him and Frederick back in the Challenger series had fantastic synergy. Every game, they would just make sure Pepinero got ahead and he would do really well. We see even like his CS at 10 and 20 minutes, he's actually ahead on average. So it's not like he's doing a bad job in that lane.
He does fine in lane. The issue is he doesn't translate that anywhere else in the map, and this is the problem that Giants seem to face. They don't really get ahead anywhere else, and now that the camp top strategy and get Jax ahead isn't going to work without a Jax, it just hasn't worked out so well for Giants.
No, there's been a lot of problems for them, and it's been very clear coming into the LCS how they were very surprised they won the first 2 games they played. They weren't expecting it. They were basically saying they just want to try and learn as much as possible and obviously try and stay in the LCS. And that's also why we've somewhat seen them drop down the standings after that great start. We've really seen the true level of Giants, I feel like. And now they just got to try and analyze their mistakes and really try and find a way or a play style they can actually use. Is it going to be full early game snowball and try and surprise people? We've seen H2K do it now.
We've seen Unicorns do it on occasion.
Even though they don't actually pick straight towards it, they just play really well in the early game. I feel like that's going to be the go-to tactic for Giants because the late game shot calling, it hasn't been on point for them at all.
Yeah, they're definitely struggling to find an identity here, and it seems like they're going to run a little bit short on time if that keeps going for a while. Maybe they can bring it together. It's going to be so tough against this SK squad, though. I mean, talk about a tall order in this situation. We'll see if maybe those flashes of brilliance can kind of turn into something greater, because they do have some plays, some good moments, but they just don't translate it into anything big for them, and it just seems that's why teams are so able to easily pick them apart. That and a lack of an overall end game for them, really.
For sure. But this game, I mean, when you face SK Gaming and you are on a 5-game losing streak, you can just go in here and do whatever you want. Nobody's going to expect you to perform well against SK Gaming. There's no expectations. You can try maybe a different tactic, some new picks coming out, and really just try and go all in. Because if you lose on 20 minutes or 40 minutes, it doesn't even matter because people expect SK to win this game. So for Giants, forget about it. Go in, pretend it's a scrim, and see what happens. You might be able to pull an upset if you really get a good start.
Yeah, and what'll be really interesting if they do something totally out there is that it might show us how SK reacts to just really, really weird stuff. Because, I mean, a lot of the times those teams that they've been able to beat down that are traditionally known for having those really crazy out there picks and different strategies, they didn't do that in a lot of those games against SK. They tried to play the straight up game against SK and they were beaten down. So I would love to see Giants do something completely wacky here.
Yeah.
And again, no expectations on them. You'd think that actually makes it a little bit easier for them. We'll see if that does affect the mindset as we go into picks and bans.
Yeah, so yesterday for Giants, that this really, really late game comp where you had obviously Kassadin, you had a Caitlyn as well on their side.
Something went wrong.
We out again.
Yeah, that's okay.
Small delay, and we'll get back into champs.
Every once in a while you have a quick misfire, and then it comes back. But no, this situation with Giants, I think that they're going to have to start in the ban phase particularly. You could target one player, but it's so hard on SK's team. I feel like they need to just get rid of whatever they're absolutely afraid of playing against in particular. Like, I don't think the Graves versus a Lucian Unforgiven is really what you want to go for. Maybe you want to get rid of Ahri for Fox, get rid of LeBlanc for Fox now.
So target one player?
Yeah, I think target one player that's had a really, really good performance recently, but then you got to worry about, okay, well, if we ban him out, do we have to camp the other lanes? Do we have to do something else like that? There's so many question marks in this situation. That's what's troubling.
It's close to impossible to ban out SK. That's what we have seen. They play all the meta champions, and Giants, honestly, go for some comfort picks. Try and play really, really aggressive early on and see if you can actually pull an upset.
Well, there's the Nidalee ban, and we, of course, expected Jax to be removed from Giants ever since their Week 1 performance. Xerath also taken off the board against Pepinero.
And really, we so often talk about this Jax. The main problem actually for Giants is that nobody else has a champion they're just so good at that you have to target ban it every single time. Pepinero used to be a guy where you had to ban Xerath and LeBlanc against him because he was so good in these champions. It is banned in this game here by SK, but we have seen Pepinero take the Xerath and not really perform too well either. So I don't really feel like you have to target ban anything else, and that's why you can just go for that Jax every single time.
They do target the Xerath though again, and I think SK, despite the fact that they are heavy favorites in this matchup, they're not a team that really plays with it, that takes chances in that situation, and you got to respect that. They don't take anyone as a free win.
No, N-Rated was sitting yesterday saying on the analyst desk as well that, yeah, you know, we take every game as it comes here. We respect every opponent we're playing against, and we make sure to prepare properly so we don't go in and suddenly have a terrible pick and ban phase and have no chance of winning the game or whatever might happen if you underestimate whoever you're playing against.
Yeah. Castin's removed. Now, arguably, out of all the champions that Werlib's played that aren't called Jax, that was probably his best performance.
Oh, don't leave Azir open.
Oh, yeah, that was a mistake. Freddy immediately is going to lock that in.
Freddy is absolutely fantastic on Azir, and it fits in so perfectly in the SK playstyle, where you want to have that ranged top laner who can farm really well and lane swap. So now you have secured a fantastic, strong one-on-one lane. Azir has barely any counters. Maybe Aurelia will be able to deal with him, and that's also why Giants is actually taking it this game here. So they're leaving the Azir open on purpose for SK to take it and then get the Aurelia pick into it. But this is going to require Frederick to really go and again look towards that top lane. Have Aurelia potentially maxing her E in the laning phase, land that stun, which lasts again, I believe, is around like 1.5 seconds. He will be able to then stun Azir. I might be slightly wrong there. But then you have your jungler coming in, you try and camp out Freddy. But this again requires standard lanes, because otherwise Azir is going to farm so much better than Aurelia in a lane swap situation.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they go in the jungle in this particular instance, because there really are a lot of picks left available.
I really like this though by Giants. Notice what they're doing. They're taking two very, very strong laners. Graves as well, take it away from Forgiven. Try and secure the one-on-one lane now in the top lane between Aurelia and Azir. And obviously you have secured a strong bottom lane just by having Graves, the AD carry. All the players here in Europe consider the strongest, or at least one of the strongest, in the laning phase itself. And that's why they like it so much. So Giants here really looking for some strong lanes. Get that early lead, and then you have a fantastic mid-game spike already through Graves and Aurelia. Frederick needs to go on an aggressive jungle as well and just camp Azir, shut him down, get your Aurelia going, and suddenly Giants might be able to surprise.
Fox looking like he decides to go for the Zed this time around. They do pick up the Jarvan for Svenskeren as well. So, yeah, I mean, SK they've got their pick of what they want in this situation, but I agree, Giants have the makings of something. It's just going to come down to, can they execute in the early game? Can they turn what could be a lane advantage? Can they turn that into something greater? Because SK, you know, in their game yesterday even, there was a point where the Wolves were ahead.
Of course.
It wasn't by much, but it was.
Very early on in the game, yeah. And that's why, yeah, we look at the comp from SK already and say, wow, that's fantastic. You have so many strong picks. Jarvan for Svenskeren, he's best champion, or one of the best at least. Azir, obviously, again, a champion. You never want to give to Freddy. And yet, it doesn't really matter, because all Giants is trying to do is just win the laning phase anyway. So they pick strong laners, and they don't care about the rest of the composition. They know going late game anyway, SK Gaming would have a massive advantage.
Hey, man, SK Gaming already knew about that.
That's
what Svenskeren said. So they want to play to win the lane. There's the Rek'Sai lock-in. Not too surprising, since it did fall through to that rotation. Gets picked up by Giants here. Now, what does SK round out their picks with? Still need that bot lane. Typically, we've seen Forgiven go over to the Lucian.
Always going Lucian when Graves picked away or banned, and should be the champion for him again. What we have seen SK do in the past is when they play Lucian into Graves, they just lane swap it, and they fast push down the turret, 2 versus 0 or 2 versus 1, doesn't even matter, get the tower, and make sure, because you're now taking a tower, and hopefully Freddy is able to hold his own tower in the bottom lane, then you have more gold in your AD carry, he gets a BF sword, to only the pickaxe from the Graves. It's what happened against Elements, and it worked for them, so they're going to try and do the exact same thing in this game. Wouldn't even be surprised to see Lulu coming in, or Janna for Enraided.
I think the Lulu makes a lot of sense just to give that extra bit of artificial tankiness. The Janna for disengage can also work. Give a little bit of extra mobility to the team, and they decide, last moment, going to go ahead and lock in the Lulu.
Very, very standard SK Gaming comp. Nothing has really been denied from them. You have that fast pushing lane for them in the 2v1 situation. You have Freddy who can handle himself against the Graves and the Thresh in the lane swap. He will always do a camp at level 1, remember, get that level 2 going. And then later in the game, you have Freddy in one lane, you have obviously the Zed going split pushing in the other lane, and then you have just Lucian sitting in the mid lane for Forgiven and just pushing down these turrets, and you pressure every single lane at once. You are so strong in a one-on-one that by pushing it down to the enemy turrets, you can now walk freely into that jungle, over to the other lane, so suddenly you just go for a dive and you just pick up a kill here and there. It's the SK Gaming style we have seen so often. If they manage to get the lane swap, then Giants needs to go in and try and stop Freddy from doing that camp at level 1, or have 4 guys ready with a very short jungle route to go down and dive him before he hits level 3, level 4 on this Azir. You cannot let him just sit and farm.
Yep, and surprised Ahri actually made it all the way through there. Pepinero is going to grab that one for the lane matchup against Fox. Should be pretty exciting to see. However, it's going to be so tough on Giants. Like you're saying, they have to do everything just right in this early game to try and pull an edge, just even a slight edge over SK. And again, you make one mistake, one slip up, and you get knocked to the ground so fast. This SK Gaming squad is just unforgiving.
I really want to see Giants just go in at level 1, place a lot of deep wards here, especially the one between the 2 turrets in the top side when you are coming from the red side down towards SK Gaming's blue. Try and secure that lane, the 2v2 lane, the one-on-one lane, and then camp for the Aurelia, get Well-Leap going to try and shut down Freddy, and just hope that Adri on this Graves here can handle himself in a 2v2 against Forgiven on Lucian. That has to be the tactic for Giants here. Otherwise, again, looking at the late game, when you have an Azir, there's going to be no answer for Giants to take down Freddy in the late game stages, especially with the Lulu as well helping him out.
Yeah, and even in that last game, you saw a little bit of strange laning from SK's side, but even though they got punished once or twice for it, it really didn't end up mattering. The other lane stepped up. Yeah, and again, that's the thing. You've got to focus on everywhere at once to deal with SK. We'll see if Giants can do it. Now it's your turn to go ahead and call this one. Tweet us at LOL Esports using the hashtag SKWin or GIA win. Let us know who you think is going to take the game. The lights go down. The crowd lights up. The banners are lit. They're looking for big plays. We'll see if they can get them as SK Gaming take on Giants right now.
And again, for Giants here, this comp is designed specifically against SK. You have strong laners all around. You have snowballing potential as well on every single carry you have on this team for Giants. Let's see if they actually walk in. First step is grouping up as 5. That is now completed by Giants. And now they're going to walk straight into that blue buff of SK Gaming and play some deep wards. Try and see if they can spot where SK is sending Lucian and Lulu. I might set up a little trap then.
Okay.
SK is not a team, though, to actually go in and deep ward very often. They often just set up around the river.
They like the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly. They just ward around the river and scout to see if anyone is crossing over. You can see Svenska now flag and then put down a ward.
Yep.
Shortly after. So spotting Giants moving in. Here we go for the deep wards.
Yeah, and they're actually moving in themselves. Should be able to seed this away because Forgiven and Rated aren't quite in the area. A lot of deep wards. It's almost like you expected them to do this to Fischio.
Almost. I mean, it's become fairly standard when you want to get all this information here to try and see what lanes are going to be. So this ward is actually placed very far away from the wall. So if SK wants to, they can actually still recall and then hog the wall when they go to the top side. Forgiven is going to do it right here. I would expect him to. And then the ward actually won't be able to see him.
Yeah.
Because it's placed so far in. Let's see if he's running near the wall. Notice here again, the wall, or the ward, sorry, can't see him. He's now unspotted.
Ooh, sneaky, sneaky by Forgiven. Oh, he messed it up.
Man.
Oh, well.
And
it was a
Giants
nice try.
instantly ping it. They now know Forgiven and Enraged is going to be on the top side and can send Graves and Thresh up there. So we're going to get the standard lanes. Giants wondered because Enraged decided, who cares about that ward? I'm just going to run right past it.
Forgiven was being all sneaky and like sneaking around like a ninja, and Enraged is just like hopping, skipping up the lane. So they're going to have the 2v2 up in the top side.
Freddy again just doing his camp at level 1. Playing it out, gets level 2, teleport down to the bottom lane. And actually in his situation here, he's going to expect to get camped by this Rek'Sai. So he needs to be very, very careful. He can never waste his trinket ward. If he places it at the wrong time, then Giants can time it and just go down and gank him after.
Right now, it's all about the poke war between Audrey, Rydell, Forgiven, and Unrated. But they, SK side, there it is. They're definitely getting the better of that one. It's so frustrating to lane against Delulu, but if you do get a catch-up, well, you can't do much if Forgiven has got your back right there.
Now again, Lulu really excels in the early levels of the lane, where she has a lot of poke damage with her passive. And that's again why SK likes to run her with Lucian, so they have a fairly aggressive level 1 and 2 to try and get that early XP advantage and the push in the lane.
Right.
Wait for them this time, but not really been able to deny anything, and Audrey and Rydell are perfectly fine in the situation.
Curious to see how this mid lane does shape up going down there, because Fox had such a magnificent game yesterday. But
it's the first game.
It's all about the bottom right now. Frederick goes around the side. Freddy is going to dash his way and flash his way to safety, but there
Frederick
was the flash and knock up, and it doesn't quite get the damage he was looking for.
Wow, Frederick, he got everything he wanted here. Freddy had to flash actually to stay alive, and then Frederick for some reason tried to flash after him. A little bit over-eager for the kill. But that was the first gank we saw. No ward had been placed yet by Frederick. Down now, and they actually saw him walk up there to the bush, so they should know when that ward expires. And then we can just see him go back down once again and do the exact same thing. Azir in a straight up one-on-one can beat nearly everything, but you can gank him, and that's what they're trying to do with this Aurelia and Rek'Sai.
Yeah. Rydell and Audrey really want to start something, but they're taken a little bit too low. And Svenskeren nearly runs straight into Pepinero. Double buffs, though, and he should actually start chasing him down. He's a level down, but yeah, he's going to have to burn his flash to get away from this one. Fox coming around as well. He's not using it, though. Just gets the charm into tower range.
Oh, the auto attack, it didn't go off.
Yep, that was a little bit odd there. Svenskeren can't quite pick the kill.
Pretty sure, actually, when he flashed in, he didn't get the auto tag off on Pepinero. In the end, though, they trade flash for flash. And Frederick now sees Raptor Camp being stolen away by Svenskeren, who always goes Trailblazer. He really likes this again for this map control it offers you, because you don't need to save your smite for the gank, so you can always use it on the Raptor Camp, and you'll always be very healthy, because again, you can stun the minions, get slightly more regen, which means you can always be there for counter ganks, and that's the way he kind of plays around with this vision control from him and the map control he offers.
Yeah, map control definitely the key word for Svenskeren. He does love to live in the enemy jungle. Freddy going to help himself to quite a lot of farm. The soldiers plucking away at it, as Werlip is going to have to back to base.
So Freddy just went back to base very early. That's why he's only sitting on 2 Dorans here to buy a ward, actually, knowing that his trinket was going to be timed and he couldn't just have that one as his only defense. So gave up quite some CS for it, but he's still looking fine. And for him, it's just all about avoiding that camp here and avoiding dying to the Aurelia. Let's see what Whirly Berserker.
Oh, they managed to get quite a lot of damage there, but Audrey takes some back for himself. Ignite is burned. As Enrated goes forward, Svenskeren is going to check into Frederick. However, Fox is coming in as well, looking for Frederick to flag the drag. Do they have the damage? It's first blood. Svenskeren burning away as well, and Pepinero will find the answer. Whirlip has arrived,
Jump,
and Fox has to get away.
Not chasing for it.
There we go.
So Frederick here being punished for using that flash when he was ganking. Freddy couldn't actually get out alive here in the end, trading 1-for-1 though. Both junglers going down and both mid laners getting the kills. So this again buys more time for Freddy to sit and farm, knowing that Rek'Sai is dead. And obviously Forgiven and Enrated after that small trade going on. Forgiven took quite a lot of damage, but Adri ended up taking a lot more. Even Summoners was used by Enrated to actually force him out of the lane, and now straight onto this tower with a massive wave. There's a lot of CS being denied. Yeah. That's the problem again. You can have these tactics against SK where you aim on like one lane. In this case, it's going to be between the two top laners. But if your other solo lanes, if your other two lanes can't stand 2-2 against SK, well then the tactic is going to fail no matter what, simply because you will fall behind. You see the mid lane going heavily in favor of the Zed, and obviously Lucian and and Lulu has been winning the top lane as well.
Yeah, just about everybody's fallen behind to Forgiven and Enrated this split so far. Freddy takes a bit more than he bargained for from Whirlib, still able to stay safe enough.
I'm actually surprised that Whirlip is maxing his W in the lane, especially because Freddy's never going to allow him to stand and get multiple auto attacks on him. He's always going to dash away from him. So unless Freddy times his jump really well to try and follow up with the W, then maybe he can do it. But if you max your E in these lanes where you want to camp it, then you can just lock him down when your jungler arrives. And Freddy now is in trouble.
Yeah, he has to use his ultimate because Whirlip put the Transcendent Blades on as well. And Frederick coming down, seeing if he can finish the job on Freddy.
Svenskeren coming behind him.
Oh, Prey Seeker. Not close enough. He gives himself away. Svenskeren, though, yeah, he's going to be sensed out by the Tremors. Frederick going to try to get back to safety, and he will.
And he will, but again, Freddy is staying alive. Saving Private Freddy is working for SK so far.
I'd watch that movie.
It's a good movie.
Ooh, Fox eating the charm on Pepinero. Goes in with a death mark, actually, and he has to back away, but there is another charge of Spirit Rush Teleport coming in as well.
Pepinero's not a mana, though.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to chase each other down any further. Frederick is looking for something, but he doesn't have too much of an idea of where they are. And Rady getting hooked up under tower. Rydal very low as well. Audrey wanted to go in to finish the job, but Forgiven made them back on off. And in the mid lane, Svenskeren having to fend off both Frederick and Whirlip.
So a lot of fights in this game here, a lot of action in every single lane. Rydal actually flashed him with their play there, and Svenskeren now onto Frederick. He might end up dying.
Yeah, I think he's going to. Gets the dunk off, and meanwhile,
Forgiven as well.
Forgiven. Whoa, my goodness! How did he make the outplay? Rydal's still on the chase, but Enrated is body blocking it. He's gonna go down. Forgiven with the double. How does this guy
that was under the turret as well.
Alive?
Under the turret here, and then he flashed over the wall. Audrey followed him. Frederick is coming up. Whirlip as well. Can he recall in time?
Stealth backing. The Prey Seeker. No, they canceled it. Uh-oh, Forgiven. I think the jig is up. And he's going to go down to Frederick, courtesy of the tower.
Courtesy of the tower, indeed. Freddy now left on his own here. He takes the tower for it. And again, SK making sure they can always punish Giants if they're sending too many guys to one lane. And I really want the replay of that top lane fight. Let's see it again. So we saw Rydal use the flash earlier to try and pull Enrated into the tower. I think he actually wanted Forgiven doing the calling here to try and get him on the turret so they would take damage and the tower would hit him. He actually goes for very aggressive trading here. Wants to dive on a little bit as well. Look how low they are. And then flashing over the wall in the end. Flashing the wall, Audrey follows. Shield coming from Enrated. And then Forgiven just finish Audrey. And Rydal will go down as well after he kills Enrated.
Yeah, really close calls there. Forgiven did end up going down. Meanwhile, Blue gets smited away by Svenskeren. Tower gets taken out by Whirlip. Both these teams trying to grab everything they can, but it's SK that is starting this 10-minute Dragon. No contest.
No contest. And again, notice how SK will never invest more than just one pink ward and taking a Dragon. They only go for them if they know it's for free because the enemy team has, let's say, 2 guys on the top lane. Then they walk in and take it. They don't walk in and set it up at like 3 or 4 pink wards, a lot of wards around it. No, they don't do that. They wait for the opening, then they grab it. They got the blue buff as well. But I really like how Giants are saying, we want to fight early on. We don't want to just let you run around on the map, take all our outer turrets, and we're not going to do anything. It's not the same Giants we saw yesterday against Giants, where they were just sitting back and waiting. Oh, sorry, against Gambit, sorry. And they were just waiting for Gambit to make the moves. And yeah, those pink ward guys.
Yes, they're going to find it second time around.
And then the
Take themselves a crab, too.
as well.
Oh, that poor Scuttle Crab. Oh, SK. Should be able to shove down this mid tower, no problem at all. Is, of course, 2 towers to them. Don't let the score lie to you there. Werlib is a little bit low in this one. Giants should be able to defend the tower for the time being, but I was mentioning Giants themselves have only grabbed 1 turret because the Azir Sun Disc is still a thing.
Yeah, and again, for SK, they always do these very fast rotations early on to get the outer turrets down. They pick very strong laners who can get some damage on it in the laning phase and then open up for Forgiven and the rest of the team to just walk in, clear it out if you're out of position. Notice how Giants was spotted at that pink ward in the river, and suddenly SK saw an opening to just push up mid lane and take the tower. Always very, very fast shot calling and saying, okay, you're there, we know exactly what to do now to get a small advantage, and they use it.
And they've
Giants
been able to
the same
turn
now.
many small advantages into big ones. Giants are going to be able to shove down this tower unless there's a response. Looks like not going to be the case. Forgiven can't hold the line on his own, neither can he with N-rated. Giants will grab themselves that outer tower, look to make their way towards bot lane.
A little bit too easy for Giants there, actually.
Uh-oh, Peppy is backing on a ward. What'll they do? The charm!
Whoa, it hit.
The edge of it catches N-rated. He could be in some trouble. Forced to wild growth, but Pepinero's not going to let him live.
He even saw him in the bush there, N-rated, and still managed to get charmed. The action continues, but SK, after they took that mid turret, instantly just went to the side lanes with Freddy, with the Zed and Azir, sorry. And then just open up for that mid turret for Giants. So they're responding as well, trying to stay even. Remember that we're going to have some annoying Azir turrets going down here, which is going to cheat us a little bit in terms of how many towers have actually gone down.
Yeah. Peppy and Frederick moving up to dissuade this wave, while Werlib and Audrey are heading right into the trap. It's Fox, but do they have enough damage? Teleport coming in. Fox is trying to get his escape, but he's going to go down, pays the price, gets Werlib as well, but Freddy comes in to help finish the job on Audrey.
It's a nice little trap here set up. Svensson was waiting behind for the engage to happen. Forgiven, meanwhile, still in this mid lane. Another 2-for-1 trade for SK. Keeping up in terms of kills. And again, the global goal is in their favor. They have a tower more than Giants so far because the Zia turret been taken down.
Yeah, Frederick's going to try to flank Svenskeren and Freddy away. They will be able to walk it out. Actually, just going to double time on the Gromp.
On the Gromp. Really fun game to watch.
Yeah,
it's
really been very back and
30
forth.
minutes in, and there's been so much action.
We mentioned that Peppy had to really step up quite a bit. You know, Tuno's not a bad scorer lane. He's been able to make some seriously great escapes, and I want to see how well off the back of that Giants can start pushing down, because it does seem like every week SK get tested in a slightly different way against different teams, and we just don't always expect it. This time around, Giants are not doing too badly. They're not too far behind SK Gaming.
They're not, but despite them getting the standard lanes they wanted to, they didn't really manage to punish Freddy. He stayed alive, he had the early back for that extra ward, and Forgiven and Enrated has managed to build up a very big lead compared to Audrey and Rydell. So while they got the right lanes, they haven't really been able to execute it. They haven't basically just been relying on creating a few picks around Pepinero. And he's now going to be the guy to really try and pull ahead for them, because Audrey is very, very far behind.
So is Werlib too. He's still sitting on.
Yeah, that too, obviously.
Since he had to go back and get the double Dorans. We'll see if maybe he can grab a little bit more here. Freddy, Emperor's Divide pushing him back, but Frederick's going to flash over it. Here comes Svenskeren to save the day. Meanwhile, Fox gets caught on a line, but Rydell has no backup. Deathmark's going on in. Exhaust is down. Rydell, he's going to try to make his escape back to the tower. Should be able to, but it costs him the price of a flash.
A flash for both players here. And again, Frederick down his bottom lane. He tries. There's a nice ulti by Freddy also to knock Werlib away, and then had to trade flash. But another blue buff going to SK. After every single fight, they seem to get out ahead, and they just try and take some objective on the map. They never allow Giants to just sit back here and get away without losing anything from these fights.
Yep. And according to the fans, SK win, trending at a 71% right now. But the Giants fans still coming out in force, as per usual as well.
Hello, Giants fans, of course.
Oh yeah, they believe, man.
Spanish guys in the LCS. No Peque anymore.
Representing the nation on the big stage. See if they can come up with something here. Frederick's going to back away as you see Sven Skaren. Frederick's done a pretty solid job of being where he needs to, but he just doesn't quite have the damage. He's going fairly tanky after the Stalker's Blade. Not unusual by any means.
No, very standard on Rek'Sai. You have enough base damage, just with the Warrior Enchant as well. But that early flash he did in the bottom lane actually cost him a lot, because it meant he ended up dying after in the 2-on-2 trade. And it made it even harder for him to gank Freddy after, because he didn't have that flash, he couldn't get the instant knock-up. Dragon is alive, and SK is moving in towards it.
Good time around here. Oh,
yeah. All 5 guys from Giants are around, so they can actually contest this one. SK Gamer doesn't have enough wards down to really try and zone them away.
Werlib's not here either. And there's a big wave pushing in the middle, so for SK, this is perfectly fine right now. Dragon's been procced again.
Yes.
Gonna chase SK away.
SK has the positioning here to just abandon the Dragon if they want to and start again pushing in the mid lane like we see the Zed do now. But Werlib just want to try and take a tower in the bottom lane and then join the fight, so he's pushing in the minions again and again. Need to be careful though, didn't lose this mid turret for it.
Yeah, Giants, they've got the Skull Crab Shrine. The hook not going to connect on Sven Skaren. It's a very tense moment for both teams with the Dragon being live. Rydell taking a little bit of Sand Soldier poke. Here comes Pepinero, the charm going to connect on Freddy. He's got the wild growth. Does he have the health though? Audrey is already down and the Giants are starting to melt. They might have gotten Freddy, but they're going to pay the price for it. Frederick, Werlib, Audrey all down. Rydell running for his life. The heal is popped for the speed and rated. Does he have the damage? The box is down. He's going to try to just pop it. Rydell might be able to make his escape, but for how long? He might try to go for the execution here. Uh-oh, he's spotted. Goodbye.
And we get the kill.
Whoa, wait a minute. Oh, there we go, and the Dragon.
Did he just flash for that one?
I think he might have.
Okay.
That's what you call work.
Not really worth it, but fair enough. Forgiven really wanted that kill.
Let's take a look at how that happened again.
So this is actually not a good position for an Ahri because you can't set up any easy charms, but it's a very nice play by Payronut to get it onto Freddy here. We see the Lulu though in action, keeps him alive for long enough, and all this damage being dealt before he ends up dying. Rest of SK can now start cleaning up, and obviously Rydell in the end. We gotta see the greed, I mean.
Cue the Benny Hill in this situation. He almost tries to get away with the juke. Clearly
you had to flash for this one because Rydell was, he was gonna survive. I mean, everyone knows that. Oh, forgive him.
And he gets the farm.
And he gets the farm too.
That's what you call gold efficiency, Deficio.
Yeah, can't let your scumbag support get any kills.
No, he's already got the one.
That's more than enough.
Yes, 5 assists as well. So with that, SK Gaming get themselves a second Dragon on the board. They add to their gold lead as well. Covering their bases quite nicely here. Giants still not falling too far behind, but that was not the fight that they wanted.
No, again, it was a very hard setup because SK had full control of the area. They could see the engage coming, and if an Ahri has to flash ulti in to land that charm, you have enough time to react as a team to say, okay, he single out Freddy, ulti from Enrated, the wall coming up as well from Freddy here to kind of disengage at first. There was no flank from Werlib, so he had to run face first as well, and simply meant that there was too much airy damage coming inside and too much disengage potential from SK, so they could take the fight for them. And even also on the Zed, we see this very often. It's a full team fight build where you go Ghost Blade, so you want like more team fighting burst, we can say, than the Blade of the Ruined King that we typically see for the one-on-one situation. I'm not actually sure if it's the best or not for him, but it is the way they like to build it. So it's full focus on team fighting. You push the lanes, but then you group together as a team to fight. You don't try and kill people one-on-one.
Yeah, speaking of one-on-one, it just seems that the Giants, when they do go in, they try to go off of whoever Pepinero's landed a charm on, see if they can blow him up. They nearly got Freddy right away, but because of the wild growth in that situation, and just in general the reaction time from SK Gaming, they keep priority targets alive.
Yeah, right.
And there's so much mobility here that it's hard for Giants to 100-0 anybody, and they blow their spell rotation.
That's the thing, if you run headfirst into a Zia wall, the slow coming in from Lulu as well, suddenly your entire team can't really keep walking in towards the back line of SK, and then you open yourself up for them to just go in and kill you. And that's exactly what happened beforehand. You gotta try and get a flank going from Giants if they want to get any proper engages onto the backside of SK Gaming. But still, I mean, it was a great play by Pepinero. He got the charm onto Freddy. That was a nice start. The rest of the team just weren't able really to follow up through all the disengage as well.
Yes, indeed. Now, another Zero turret is down. Giants trying to clear their way through it, but they are being pushed back just a bit.
And we really get to the point here as well for Giants where they haven't managed to get the early lead they wanted to. So now we get these big team fights, and remember Azir, late game, he's an absolute monster. Let's see if Worley can take down Forgiven Greed. Nope.
No, he stays fine for the time being. Svenskeren. The rest of the team starting to move towards the top. You've got Fox split pushing the wave in the top lane. He's going to ping out. There is a pink ward in that brush, boys. Worley and Pepinero on the bottom side, trying to do the same thing. But Pepe is actually looking for a bait. There's just nobody anywhere near.
Oh, he's hoping for Forgiven. He's not going to show his face, not going to happen. Just take a tower instead. Need to be careful though, because Baron is being started by SK. They actually expected Pepinero to be on the bottom side here after Worley showed himself. But Giants managed to pull them away.
Yep.
And a tower now for Giants.
Rek'Sai Scream. And of course, there is the teleport from Freddy. Trying to save the second tier turret. He's got a couple of Sand Soldier backups. As Pepinero pokes away, tries to avoid the damage. Charm not going to connect. He'll be able to clear these minions.
And honestly here for Giants, right now just go so heavily into vision control. Get your Oracle Lens on your support, get pink wards, and try and again punish SK, because you are not far enough behind. I mean, you're still in this game. You're not far enough behind not to just, that you can't do anything. You just have to sit in your own turret. No,
Ooh.
You can actually create picks with the Ahri, with the Irelia here, to try and force SK into an area. It could be their own jungle where you have completely warded up and you have this charm ready from the Ahri to create that one little pick. Remember, there's still, actually no, Forgiven does a flash now. Didn't get punished for it.
Picks up the Quicksilver Sash
again,
too.
yeah, QSS Mikhails is completed. Double cleanse coming in for SK.
Yeah, now Rydell goes a little bit too far forward. Actually going to eat quite a bit of culling, but SK, after pushing them back, they're going to go for more. Svenskeren, flag and drags forward. Pepinero dodges one way. Lanterns another. 30 seconds on this dragon. SK have asserted some dominance in this mid lane.
Pushing it straight up. The wave clear has to come from Pepinero and Archie together in order to fully clear that wave instantly and make sure Freddy and Forgiven doesn't get any hits on the turret. Otherwise, they will slowly chip it down. Side lane's not really in a position for SK to do anything.
Frederick.
So it's just going to be a 5-on-5 here.
He's trying to do something, yeah.
Yeah, Giants doesn't have to worry about the side lanes for now at all. And therefore, Freddy and SK won't really be able to do too much other than try and open up for this dragon area. Giants once again find them in a situation where they can't get the flank because SK is coming in first towards their objectives.
Giants control the crab shrine, but it doesn't really matter when the dragon goes down that quick. Number 3 picked up for SK Gaming, and we're going to have a fight on our hands. Freddy gets the Emperor's Divide out. Werlip now, they turn onto him. Does he have the dash away? He does. Svenskeren gets the jump around the back. Here comes Fox, exhausted up as he goes, but they've already managed to pick up Rydell. Can they get any more? Freddy, Summoners popped. Just one.
And again for SK here, the reason they go 5-man mid lane is just to force Giants to go back and defend and then open up for SK to run straight down to this dragon. Don't buy any wards towards you, don't have to invest any gold, just go there because you know Giants is gonna be behind you. You have time to take it and then set up the fight again. Freddy, the big playmaker on this is Azir. Really not the champion you want to give him. He's so good on it.
Yeah, that is why Unrated pops his flash to get out of danger. It's just such a tough game to play on SK's terms. And here comes Forgiven, looks for the assassination. He might have been a little too greedy on that one. Can he make his great escape? Yeah, Werlip.
I can't believe he's still alive.
Away. Yeah, that just happened. Frederick's going to try to maybe change that, but he turns his attention to N-rated. And when Forgiven gets a mind to go in, boy, does he commit.
Yeah, trying again to farm a bit of KD. He lost quite a lot by dying yesterday, and now again dying here. So let's just see it again. Notice again how SK, I've said again like 4 times, but SK managed to get the dragon first, and a nice engage from Freddy, and then Svenskeren, he saves his ult. He doesn't want to use it until he see now. An opening, 3 guys together. We see the Z coming into the back line. and just popping straight out. So 1 kill now for SK, Dragon as well, and another fight won.
Simple textbook case for SK Gaming.
It looks so simple, but it's so hard to play again.
Exactly.
Because when you see 5 guys pushing your mid lane, you obviously gonna run back and defend it, and you're not strong enough to really get the right engage, especially not if your Ahri is standing at the tower. So you can't really just go into a head-first team fight, and therefore SK can just force you to run behind them all the time and be too late for these objectives.
All in all, though, it does seem that Giants are making fewer mistakes, not just than what we've seen them do in previous games, but fewer than SK's opponents averaged in the last couple of weeks. They're keeping pace throughout 25 and a half, 26 minutes into this game. They're still falling a little bit behind. They're not quite winning fights, and they're giving up objectives. But again, not as many. And I really think that they have improved their play in the last couple of days over the last few weeks we've seen them. This is one of the better games they've had since week 1.
Yeah, the biggest difference is that Giants actually try and make plays. They don't just sit back and wait for the other team to take every single objective, and then suddenly you realize, oh, we're too far behind to do anything. Like we saw yesterday against Gambit from Giants. I like this style more. Take some aggressive laners and try and make some plays, and obviously Pepinero, 3-0 on Ahri, has really tried his best. No Dragon to contest, which means also for SK, they gotta push these side lanes first if they wanna go down and try and force a tower in this mid lane. We've seen Giants being able to hold it off. And now they're suddenly setting up the trap. We talked about this before. You get these pink wards, you go into the jungle of SK, you place them, and you hope for someone to fish it because they're not expecting you to stand there. But SK is just sitting in this mid lane and waiting for Zed to create the split push and the pressure. Rydell flashing in.
You can't fault him for trying A for effort, but he doesn't get anything. Now it is SK waiting to turn Svenskeren, dodging all the skill shots from Pepinero. Has been the bright spot, particularly on this team. Werlib now coming in. But with the split push being set up, it's still a 5-on-4.
They have to go in, Giants. They can't wait. They're going to lose a top turret for it, or
they're pinging it.
They go back up to defend. So again, you allow SK to actually only have 4 guys in the mid lane. Obviously, no teleport on a Zed.
Oh, catch a charm on Svenskeren, but yeah, there's no follow-up.
Get to punish them.
Look at the damage from the culling they're able to put out here. This tower's going to be gone.
And the worst thing is, there is no wards on the flank except for 2 down towards the river and a pink ward.
And
now Freddy might end up dying, but they're going for it.
Not quite enough. The Zani's Hourglass on Pepinero. Can he get out of danger? Yes, he can. Eats a Shiv proc on the way out. So their single lives actually burns down to a little bit of a health bar, but he sticks around.
So again, there's no hard engage on the side of Giants. So they have to again look for the flank. That's why they're staying back instead of going in, but there's no walls to really spot them from the side of SK, so they could actually have gone for it with only the 4 guys in the mid lane while the Zed was split pushing. And that's again where we see the more passive style now coming in, for Giants not feeling too confident. But that's what they have to do. If they ever see Freddy on their Zia or the Zed in a side lane, you know SK barely has any wards, so you can actually use that information to get in around them and go for that flank engage. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to win the game.
And they've definitely been able to set some of these up quite well. The issue is SK just outfighting them. Even in those situations, the few charms they've been able to connect and blow people up, it's worked quite well. But now they have gone back. They bought some of those pink wards. SK to patch some of those vision holes.
Gotta get them potion.
Oh yeah. Big fan of the 29.5 into potion, right?
I mean, 150 HP.
That's
might save your life.
Oh yeah. It only costs sweet 35 gold. It's quite the deal.
Quite the deal indeed.
23 seconds on this Dragon. SK, they haven't had the crab control, but they haven't needed it here. And now Werlib coming in, Svenskeren, the rest of the team, Rydell looking to possibly set something up, but the chase is on. The death mark, they catch the charm and they catch Fox. Now SK in retreat. 5 seconds on this drag. It's starting to look like Giants might be able to pick up one of their own.
A little bit too greedy again by SK. And Giants should get this Dragon here. Don't let Svenskeren steal it.
They need to pull it out of the pit.
Go in, Rydell, so you can land the hook on him so he can't jump over the wall.
He throws the flag. You're going to try to wait for it to
expire.
he's
standing there. You know he's standing there.
Yeah, he's going to flash forward. Not quite getting enough, but they do shove Rydell back. Freddy is going in. So is Svenskeren. The dunk on, but he's not going to live through this one. It's a double kill. It actually goes to Rydell Forgiven now, trying to flash his way out of danger. They've only given up Werlib, and they get 2 kills on top of picking Fox. So Giants actually come up big there.
Yeah, got the dragon here to 6% for them, delaying that 5th dragon from SK Gaming. And rule 1-on-1, if you try and steal the dragon, don't take the fight right after, because your jungler has now used nearly everything on trying to get the steal. So he's effectively out of the fight. And let's just see it again. It's only also, by the way, a 4v5. Svenskeren in this fight, he can't do much. He's already used most of his combo now. So he's just standing in this pit, ends up dying together with Freddy early on. And SK really starting to be a little bit too over-aggressive. Zed went down, Jarvan went down, and obviously Zia Forgiven has to stay alive after picking up 1 kill. But that was 3 kills for Giants. And a dragon.
Yeah, SK.
Keep looking for these picks here. Sell your potions as well, Giants. You need them pink wards. Punish SK for being blind on the map, so you can create the flanks and the picks, and you can still win the game.
They're going to go in once again. Audrey, it was Pepinero. They turn their attention. He burns his flash. Svenskeren runs into a wild Whirlib. And they back it up. Yeah, SK seem to have gone a little sideways right now. They're playing very overly aggressive. They're the ones making more mistakes in this situation. Yes, they were able to chase Audrey off, and that's just off the back of how strong they are as a team. But we don't see this perfect coordination that was on
Given is on red buff, and they just started the Baron. Now he's doing Raptors as well. I mean, you got to get all the farm before you go to your team who's now doing Baron.
Yeah, dude, making that money.
And they're taking this game fairly lightly. They're, you know...
I think that's probably safe to say.
Yeah. Flashing around a little bit. Trying to make some big plays.
Does have that pretty massive CS lead over Audrey right now. He's got the Mercurial Scimitar finished up as well. You take a look at the gold differential as well. Forgiven, man, that
3,000 gold.
That's money in the bank.
Money in the bank for Forgiven. As we normally see it. I still think, again, Giants, they're not done yet.
No, they're not.
Again, if they sell those health potions, actually invest more into some vision for them. They can create those picks.
And they're only 4,000 gold behind. They actually haven't given up too many towers comparatively to what they've been able to pick up. They've lost only 1 more, that other inner. Again, don't let the Azir turret score lie to you. But they have been able to fend away SK's attacks. They're the ones that are directing a little bit of this. And yes, they don't have hard engage. They need to go in and make flanks happen. But they have been able to do it.
A few times at least now. Trying to rush a Baron. SK, we're actually on the bottom side of the map. Not trying to come over. Giants start this one instantly.
We're going to walk on the ward.
Playing it safe. But now again, notice the ping ward here. So SK knows where they are. They're pinging them. They sort of move around the Baron itself. The ward just disappeared. Now, we have a flank opening. Not really enough, because SK can see everything, and they can always go to the bottom lane and take this 1 turret, and just keep the rest in the mid lane.
Yeah, now they're sending Rydal and the rest of the team actually back here. A few members hanging out in the mid side for SK Gaming, but they are going to try frantically to defend this turret. Yep, not enough of a wave. SK won't be able to pick up anything for that. And there is a pretty big mini wave building on the top side as Giants ping that out.
Look at the minimap. 3 wards being placed on the bottom side from SK. Nothing around the Baron itself except for the 1 pink ward. And now they're moving in here to clear them out, get a bit of control. Only 1 side stone. That's on unrated. That was the last ward he had to offer. But he is on cooldown as well. So not really too hard for Giants to go in and clear those out. And then, once again, take over the map.
I'm afraid he's going to go make his way to the top side, clear away the minions that were poking at the turret. SK covering their flanks quite well, but again, Giants have been able to find openings. Yep, sense the tremors ready. Yeah, he's going to immediately dash away as Whirlib revealed the plan.
But they keep trying to do it. Set up these small traps and hope for SK to walk in alone and then simply die. When they face check an Ari Charm and Aurelia, it doesn't even matter what it is in this case. It's a straight up team fight. It's been very hard for Giants to win. And SK now slowed down a little bit.
Fox on a bit of a mission himself. He's going to move back to that bottom side, but he's going to be met by Whirlib sooner or later, who's going to push the wave out.
What an upset it would be if Giants actually managed to pull this one off.
It would be incredible.
Still behind,
but not by a ton.
No, and the way SK have been playing so far, I mean, the first 20 minutes were great. And then they really just went into a insanely greedy mode where they started playing around a little bit. And that's what you can punish, and that's also how often the top teams end up getting their first loss, because they feel a bit too overconfident. And then after they win, we have the same interview as always, where they say, yeah, we won't do it again, we will never underestimate whoever we're playing, and then it's all good for SK.
It may not be all good for Frederick, however, they jump on him, a taste of the Giants' own medicine as he dashes to not so much safety. Wow. In the mid lane, the Giants are going to try to make something out of it. But yeah, it's not the greatest time to lose your jungler when the Dragon is just respawning.
No, you can't really bait out a Baron either to force SK away from this Dragon here. They might just be able to start themselves with five guys. 20 seconds still on Frederick. Remember, he is Rex size, so he can actually port in. Is there a tunnel? There's only one at the Raptor camp and one above the Baron. Giants needs to go in if they want to stop this one. Otherwise, they just have to give it up.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to. It gets picked up by Fox. Baron #1 at 36.5 completed for SK Gaming. Once again, going back to that punish your mistakes in full.
Yeah, there's no wards around the Dragon, and Frederick moving in on his own. Rydell didn't manage to connect the hook, but should be another Dragon again for Giants here. So SK won't be able to win by just waiting for 5 Dragons like we've seen beforehand. Actually have to go and make some plays. That would require them to get more control of the map. Otherwise, they might walk into the Ahri, they might get flanked around, and that's again why they're staying so far back. And not actually feeling too confident now to really make the plays.
Yeah, so Dragon score started to even out a little bit, but with this Baron buff right now, SK can start turning up the pushing pressure. You see in the middle, Fox is going to try to make that happen, but the other Fox is going to meet him head on. He just backs away, tags in for Freddy.
What's going to be the next move here from SK? You have the Baron buff now. Normally they split up in a 1-3-1, but keeping Freddy with the rest of the team is not a bad idea. Just have the Zed do all the work and just push 2 lanes at once. Try and go down and see if you can get this last, oh, actually 2 outer turrets left, but get this outer turret here in the bottom lane before Giants can react. They need to move down if they want to defend it. They saw the push starting, and yet they just ran away from the turret and stand at their own red buff, so they're giving up this one for free.
Yeah, I don't think they really quite realized exactly what it meant and immediately poked down. SK Gaming managed to grab that inner turret. The only one remaining is the outer. Here comes Forgiven, dashes in while the culling is active and pokes down Whirly B. That is a lot of tower damage, and Fox, he's trying to finish it off. They will manage it, and here comes Sven Skaren Rydell backing away with the flash. And the wind up in the hook, not going to connect. Sven Skaren comes right back in for round #2. Charms and Praise Seeker's going to fly, not going to connect onto anyone. Pepinero extremely low from the Sand Soldiers. Inhibitor, #1 SK. When they find the pressure button, they keep it pressed.
And Giants, they saw the push start in the bottom lane, and SK stay with 4 guys in the middle lane and see them leave the lane, so they know they're going to go to the bottom lane, and yet 2 guys were doing red buff. Pepinero was just pushing the mid lane on his own, and they didn't even regroup around their own base before that inhib turret was gone. It was way too slow reactions, and suddenly SK could just push right into the base. No response at all from Giants. That was just very sloppy play.
And they were doing so well too. At this point, SK Gaming, so they managed to find an in, and they do what we've seen them do consistently. And it's just punish the mispositioning, punish the fact that the reaction time from Giants was less than stellar, and look at the damage that they've got on these towers now. Giants have now fallen, they were about 5,000 gold down, now they're about 9,000 gold down.
Yeah, very clear that SK said, okay, we fooled around enough in the mid game, let's just get serious once again, create that one pick, get the Baron, and instantly just clean out a few turrets and inhibitor being taken. And suddenly, we're back to SK being really, really far ahead. Almost 10k goal lead for them. And really surprised, again, I mean, how Giants just allowed them to push in.
Yeah, it's like they were caught snoozing.
Even if you don't have the greatest wave clear to defend it, you're going to stay there and make it harder for the team to push. And maybe if they then go for a too aggressive dive, you can try and get a few kills. You don't just let them take your inhibitor.
Well, they're certainly not out of it yet, but it is going to be much harder them to defend. Baron, of course, is now evaporated. Giants will have at least that reprieve, but Whirlib is a little bit occupied with minion clean up the tail. Pepinero running into Sven Skaren. There was a couple of Foxfires his way. Charm not going to connect onto and raided And now they look to cover their front door up in the top lane.
Damage no longer here, but the minions are still alive, and a lot of damage on the turret already. Just a few hits from Freddy and Forgiven.
Fox is in the mid, splitting this one away. There's no reaction, and there's still super minions in the bottom side. So Giants are being split out a number of directions as this tower is still being poked down. They've not got the minions to finish it off just yet, but that'll be different in just a moment. Oh, they might just tank this.
Just get a few hits every single time. Minions are coming in now as well. This tower will go down very soon, especially also with the super minions pushing on the Nexus turret.
Tense moment, Werlib going to take a little bit of damage as well. Frederick, they're going to try to chase him off, but it seems like the Giants just don't want to go in on it. Rydal, here comes Fox around the side. They managed to pick up the kill onto Thresh. They go for the inhibitor now. It's not got long to live. Number 2 in the books for SK Gaming. They're going to be looking for number 3 in just a moment on the backside of that last inhibitor turret. Charm going to connect on Fox for just a moment, but Svenskeren has the tag team. They jump in. Frederick trying desperately to get away. Deathmark is on. Fox is going to pop Werlib in all of the craziness. Here comes Pepinero, but he's gone already.
So is the Nexus of Giants. Svenskeren even flashing on the other side.
Yeah, style points completed there. The Nexus is bare. Giants have nothing left in the tank. And SK Gaming, 8 wins on the board, 0 losses. And they're looking oh so good.
So, very, very strong start for SK, but fooling around a little bit in terms of the mid-game. Some flashes for a few kills. I'm obviously looking at Forgiven here, but in the end, they just refocus, they get the win. And honestly, for Giants, once they start pulling back in that game, they just missed one thing. And I know it's boring to listen to, but at that point against SK Gaming, you just gotta completely take over the map through vision control, pink wards, hit Oracle Lens as well in your support at that time, and really punish them for being way too aggressive against you and knowing that they're never warding their flanks at all. Never. They're only one side stone. And that's why when raided, nobody else will buy any wards. And obviously Freddy has the stealth totem, and that's about it. If you just completely fill up, let's say, the Baron pit with the pink wards, SK can't do anything to stop you. They're gonna have to face check you. That's how you can take a win, or at least win a team fight and get back in the game, but they didn't do it. They waited and waited, and then at 38 minutes, they bought 4 pink wards, and then obviously it was way too late.
Yeah, Giants did not execute perfectly, but there were some flashes of brilliance in that game. They definitely punished some of the over-aggression of SK Gaming.
Yeah,
I mean, it definitely wasn't a perfect game from SK, as you mentioned, kind of styling a little bit, going a little flashy with the plays. However, still undefeated in this game, and for Giants, they've now got a 6-game deficit, but you know what? That was one of the better games we've seen from them.
It was, and yes, you give up a Zia, you give a lot of the strong comfort picks for SK, but that wasn't the tactic for Giants. It was to just get strong laners that could snowball the game. That was the whole goal for them. They managed to get strong laners. They even got the 2-on-2 lane because Enredi showed himself on that ward at level 1. But the ganks onto Freddy just didn't pay off. The synergy between Werlib and Frederick in this game didn't really show, especially against the Frederick early flash under the turret at level 3, where obviously Werlib was never able to follow, and that was just a wasted flash onto Freddy. Those small mistakes suddenly relieves a lot of pressure for Freddy, knowing, okay, I can actually just sit back and farm now, and I'm fairly safe because I know there's not a Rek'Sai who's going to come flashing in onto me, knock me up, and then suddenly kill me. And that's again also why SK could get out of that one-on-one Aurelia Azir and not getting completely camped out. And obviously then Freddy can just farm like he wants to and get into this mid-game where they did look good until they started, you know,
messing around a little bit. But in Giants were able to start taking advantage of that. There were a lot of death rush setups, a lot of traps. They managed to get quite a few kills, well, a few kills at the very least onto Peppy.
Yeah.
He did quite a good job in that case, but they just couldn't quite come out with the win. And at the end of the day, yes, they look better, but that's what especially matters. Now, for a look at SK's 8th straight win, let's go ahead and check in with Quickshot on the stage.
Thank you very much, Pyroficio. I am joined by Freddy after going 8-0. You've beaten every single team in the LCS with the exception of Fnatic. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's start with this game. Giants, they may have gotten under you guys' skin a little bit. They played more aggressively than we were expecting. What was your take on their play and how was it affecting your team?
Yeah, they definitely played more aggressive than we expected, but as soon as I saw the Gnar ban in Champ Select, I'm like, well, this guy's going for Aurelia and they're going to camp me hard. So we did try and get the lane swap. They predicted it as well, so they did really well early, like better than we expected.
Now, what was it that allowed you guys to actually bounce back and take control of the game? It felt like the mid game was a bit slow for SK. Why was that?
I think our split push was not optimum this game, so we gave them opportunities to come back. Then we made a sloppy play at Dragon. 2 of us suicided, and they got the Dragon from that. They got 2 kills. We lost a lot of map pressure. It took like a time for us to get that back. And there's always the risk with their comp. They can just flash, charm, engage. I was especially worried. So we needed the Mikaels on N-rated to be safe. And when we had that, we could kind of poke them out and get map control back slowly.
Well, congratulations on the win. The game was definitely in SK's favor for the vast majority. I want to step back and talk about your team and how you prepare for a regular LCS week. Who are your scrim partners? What is your pick and ban strategy? You know, where does the hours off the stage go to for the team?
For scrims, we scrim most teams as long as we don't play them next week. We play Rocket probably more than the rest because they're in the same training facility as us. What was the first part?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. So a lot of games against Rocket. Before we move on to the analyst desk, I want to ask Freddie, who is the toughest opponent that you train against? You mentioned there you play most teams unless they're on your weekly schedule. So who is your top 2, top 3 outside of SK in the LCS teams?
I think definitely Fnatic right now. They play a unique playstyle. No one's really figured them out completely yet. So I think as far as that's the top competition. But Alliance are kind of slumping, and I think Unicorns are rising a bit, but definitely Fnatic.
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that you guys are playing Fnatic next week. So looking forward to that matchup. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. For now, we're going to head back over to Shox and Crepo at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. Always fun to hear from Freddie. And, well, I made Quickshot go down to the other stage because I couldn't deal with the romantic tension anymore. But it does give us a chance to break the game down from, well, from the very start, as said, kind of a lull in the middle of the game there for SK Gaming, but they played it very well in the laning phase. Very interesting to me is that you said around 2 minutes and 30. I think Giants will already have a very hard time winning this lane. Can you explain why?
Yeah, instead of going over the game, I think Defisio and Fighter did a good job in the game. So I kind of want a tunnel vision on something. People always say SK gets ahead, right? But nobody explains why. So I kind of want to just look at the laning phase from 1 to 3, and we can get that replay up on your screen already, and just explain why Forgiven and Rated win that lane. In my opinion, they should not win that lane. They get to the lane late as well. Giants should have the push advantage, which means they win level 2 first. But see, Rydell, he goes for the auto attack, cancels it, and misses his flay. Forgiven punishes him a little bit. Meanwhile, Unrated is out-trading Audrey already. And even though they were early to the laning phase, they got out-traded and out-pushed already. This will result in the fact that Forgiven and Unrated are going to hit level 2 first. Look at Adri right now. He's using Buckshot just on creeps. In a Graves touch lane, you really want to get that auto-attack flay, auto-attack out. Use that Buckshot on the enemies and the creeps to get that push advantage. And you see right there, Rydell hooked and raided. But the beauty of Forgiven's play is once cooldowns get used, he will dash in aggressively. And we've seen that in numerous occasions. He doesn't back out because, oh no, some play is happening. He says, okay, now you used a cooldown on my support. This allows me to dash in passive-passive, Q passive-passive, and outpoke you. And we definitely saw Giants didn't understand the way to trade. Thresh has a favorable trade on Lucian if he can get a red flay stack auto into flay into auto. That pokes Lucian low. If at the same time the Graves just takes some damage and uses his buckshot on the Lulu and the creeps at the same time, they push in because they were first to lane. They had at least 5 auto attacks on creeps before the enemy, and this should guarantee you level 2. Snowball into a CS lead, favorable position, and then you can snowball from there. But it was lacking, and SK, they win lanes they shouldn't win. Yesterday, they should have lost that Annie Kalista lane. I still stand by. I've played a metric ton of Kalista games, and they should have lost that lane, but they still come out on top because they're very smart in trading. And you saw it later, Forgiven the skin of his teeth, and he dashed into a tower to flash out, and then they're in perfect synergy, and he's getting confident, maybe a little too confident, but he's definitely an incredibly smart player, and it shows why he's the best AD carry in Europe by far.
Once again, indeed. SK closing it out once again. Before we go to the break, though, let's check in with you guys at home. Earlier today, we opened up our guest insight to you with the hashtag AskCrepo. And here's what you wanted to know. Our first tweet is from @JSF Chef. He asks, every Leona we've seen so far hasn't done well. Is she no longer a meta pick, or are other supports that much better? Yellowstar did do pretty well on her.
Yeah, I think Leona is very hard to play efficiently because if you make a mistake with Thresh, you'll miss your hook, you'll be fine. If you go in with Zenith Blade and you don't absolutely lock people down, or they have QSS, or they have Mikhails, you just ruined your entire engage. She's very hit or miss, and you need a lot of hits in a row to win. You know, you saw Nif catching out a lot of people with really good solar flares combined with the Rengar, but it only takes one miss to go completely wrong, and you're out of you're out of offense. So she's very hard to play. You have to decide whether you use your Q instantly or you want to go for the auto Q auto. There's a lot of fun nuances when it comes to the champion. And on the stage, it just sometimes goes wrong.
Our second tweet is from @pbreezy1224. He wants to know, when playing Thresh, how do you know when to go Relic Shield and when to go Ancient Coin?
I get this question on my stream literally every hour. Summed up, you should go Relic Shield. You should always do it because it gives sustain for your AD carry. If you are really bad at lasting those creeps and you get the wrath of your AD upon you, just take coin. But if you want to be a good Thresh player, practice it, run AD runes, get that Relic Shield. Why? Because you're offering help for your AD carry, and that's what supports do. Coins for you, relics for the AD carry, and you want to basically help that guy out and win the lane together.
All right, we know now. Our next one is from our good friend TV Sky, and multiple people have attempted Lulu in the current meta, but with very mixed results. Where do you feel she fits right now? We just saw it here on In Raid, another game 1. He does love that Lulu, but we saw it in mid and top recently as well.
So I think SK uses Lulu's utility well in the sense that they can buff up and stop engages with the ultimate and just kite. But she doesn't trade that well in my opinion. She gets out-sustained by sustain, she gets out-poked by better poke, and she gets out-all-in by all-in. So I think she's not even... Yes, she's a jack of all trades, master of none. But she works because SK plays with so many threats, and all Enrated has to do is keep them alive with his Wild Growth, with the Mikhails, like Freddy said earlier. And because once Forgiven and Enrated get the push, okay, Lulu can keep poking. But if you ever get contested and you get pushed, you can no longer out-trade. And once you're on the back end of those trades, you're going to start losing the lane with Lulu, and especially when you get ganked on top of that. So I think she's a rather weak pick, but it just works because Forgiven and Enrated as a duo are outclassing the other bot lanes.
All right, and we have one last tweet from @SoasBaguette. Who do you think is the best Blitz EU West, Soaz or Soaz?
Well, Paul, I think there's a really great French Blitz crank player in Europe, and his name is Tony Carmona or Schleier. So it's not you, sadly enough. Sorry, Paul.
Thank you very much for sending in those questions. We want to keep hearing from you, so be sure to use the hashtag LCS to stay in the loop throughout the day. Now, the teams are setting up for our next match, so we'll be back in 3.5 when Gambit Gaming takes on Elements. We'll see you then.
That was a lot of
Gaming take on Giants right now. Yeah, I think he's going to. Gets the dunk off, and meanwhile,
Forgiven as well.
Forgiven. Whoa, my goodness! How did he make the outplay?
He's going in. Oh,
Not quite getting enough, but they do shove Rydell back. Freddy is going in. So is Svenskeren. The dunk on. Charm going to connect on Fox for just a moment, but Svenskeren has the tag team. They jump in. Frederick trying desperately to get away. Deathmark is on, and SK Gaming 8 wins.